Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw. I'm a transformational coach. I'm also the founder of Embody Me program and the creator of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You may also find me on the yoga mat leading yoga sessions and also running retreats here in Australia and internationally. Here on the podcast, I bring you some pretty incredible guests. We talk all things self-belief, body acceptance, personal development, outdated beauty standards, and we also call BS on the toxic diet culture, accepting the beautiful bodies we were born into, letting go of all the beliefs, and raising our self-awareness. I also come to you from time to time with a little solo episode, a little Life According to Emma moment. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. A big warm welcome to this week's episode of Celebrate a Sister podcast. Today, I'm joined by a dear friend and a fellow business owner, beautiful Angela Vassallo. I'm going to read to you her short little bio about how she helps women in the world. So yes, Angela is the queen bee of reinvention. She is a powerhouse and an entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a keynote speaker who has made a career out of mastering the art of reinvention. From building a 7-figure restaurant business from the ground up and successfully selling it, to writing her acclaimed book, The Second Wife's Club, Angela has shown time and time again that it's possible to thrive through bold moves and calculated risks. Angela's journey has taken her to the stage in the USA, particularly the US talk show, and featured in publications like Huffington's Post, where she shared her story of resilience, mastering resourcefulness, and the power of stacking the odds in your favor. Today, Angela has pivoted into a new chapter as a sought-after keynote speaker and the founder of mindset and business coaching career dedicated to helping women redefine their lives. Angela's mission is quite simple but powerful. She helps women step into their next chapter as the main character of their lives with confidence, clarity, and an unshakable belief in what's possible. Her philosophy is it's never too late to pivot, to chase more, and to build the life you've always dreamed of. Angela is living proof that reinvention is not only possible, but it can be the most powerful chapter in your life. Welcome, Angela.
Oh, thank you, Emma. I appreciate that. Every time somebody reads my bio, I go, oh my gosh, I do all those things. God, I've changed so many different things up till now. It's exhausting to think about it. But thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to be here. And we've had lots of wonderful conversations since we met about business and about being a woman in business. Now, I love your beautiful live the other day. You were talking about reinvention. There's so many things that I want to ask you. I even want to ask about the Second Wives Club, the book, but I'll stay on track with the notion of reinvention. And clearly you have gone from different businesses and different careers. And here you are now in midlife. Can you share with us what your methodology is around reinvention? And I know that you have a beautiful blueprint of how this unfolds for a woman. So for our listeners, can you share with us reinvention and your blueprint?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much, Emma. Look, I think that when I'll just give you a bit of context for your listeners as well. So I've had many different careers in my life and different businesses. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much since I left school. So haven't really worked for anyone. I've always had my own business. I've always gone out and changed to different careers and tried to figure out, what the next steps are for me. And one of the last 7 years, I've owned a restaurant, and we constructed these restaurants in Sydney. And about a year ago, I sold them. And through the last year of owning those businesses, we went through all of the COVID situations. We went through all of that. And It was a lot because we had 3 restaurants and I constructed them from the ground up. Like, so I would do, the whole planning of it all, the design, and then, get in there and do the whole fit out and everything. So, and I learned a lot through this process. But in the last year of that, I just knew that these businesses did not align with me anymore. And I knew that it was time for me to make a big shift, a big pivot. And I made the decision to create an exit strategy to get out. And thank God we ended up selling them to a hospitality group that came in and took over the restaurants. And then it was like, what's next? So I kind of through the process was thinking, what am I going to do now? Like, I was 50 in my 50s and I was wondering what do I want to do? I knew that I still had a lot of ambition. I knew that I still had a lot to give. And I just had this idea of like, I felt like my future was just, I had a destiny and I didn't really know how to sort of figure it out and what the next steps were and what my path was. And so I spent a lot of time going through that process to figure out what I felt like would be the next steps for me and kind of came up with this process. And then I always knew I wanted to be a keynote speaker. And I knew I had like a mission to, I've always loved helping women. I did that with my first book. And I wanted to create a program and some, coaching program that could help women go through the same process as what I was going through. And then I realized from that, the word reinvention just kept popping up. And I looked back to my career and I looked back at my life and I thought, the last 20 or 30 years, all I've done is reinvent myself. Mm-hmm. I've gone from one thing to the other to the other. I had no idea about hospitality, but I literally reinvented myself and started it and figured it out along the way, became resourceful and then sorted that. And along the way, I've done these things. Even like when I wrote my book, I didn't have a skill set of writing a book, wasn't great at school and English and that. And I was able to figure that out and do that. And I really believe it is about, being resourceful and reinventing yourself when the time is right. And so now I teach women how they can do that too. If you're not happy in what you're doing now and you really believe it's time to sort of make a move, have the courage to pivot, have the courage to transform and create that, that whole new path for yourself. So that's how it all came about for me, this whole reinvention era, what I'm in.
Yeah, you are so courageous in many ways, but even, I know a little bit of your past. You were a competitive runner, weren't you?
Yes. Many moons ago.
Yeah. So even the evolution, and clearly there is a drive in you.
Yeah.
And we talk about, you and I have discussed this before, about that self-reliance and that self-respect. Clearly you have a lot of inner drive to keep reinventing yourself. Did ever any point you think, I don't know if I can have another reinvention, or that's not even on the table for you?
It was definitely on the table. I was like, I don't know if I can do this like anymore. Like I remember just coming out of the restaurants and I remember kind of dragging myself through that whole process in the end. If you've never known anything, if you have not been in hospitality, it's a bloody tough industry to be in, right? So you're getting up every day and you're paying everybody and you're giving everything before you even make a dollar yourself, right? And so like I had to keep getting up every day and facing this. And I just remember being so exhausted and so drained on every level. And I kept thinking, oh my God, am I done? Am I done? Is this it? And I was going through menopause at the same time. And I had this whole, okay, I pretty much have to come to the conclusion that all these big goals and dreams that I always thought I was going to have are gone. Like I'm done. Like whatever I've done in my life, in my 50s now, it's time to kind of slow down. I don't have the energy to keep it going. I kind of felt like I had failed at most things. And I was just like, yeah, I was in that part of my life. So it certainly wasn't like I was all gung-ho about, jumping into the next thing. I was very cautious and wary about what I was going to do next because I felt like I don't think I could survive another failure because I didn't feel like I had succeeded. I felt like I kind of would do well, in people's eyes, and probably compared to most, I would do quite well, but I didn't feel like I'd get to the top. Like I didn't feel like I'd get there. And then it kind of would be like, pivot into the next thing or move into the next thing. So I did definitely have that time in the last year saying, am I done? Like, can I really like keep going? And the more I saw what was happening out there, the more I started really spending time online and watching other women and learning and reading books and listening to podcasts, I started to understand everyone's singing the same tune. no one makes it in their 20s, 30s, and like not even in your 40s. Usually it is this era of your late 40s, 50s, 60s, where things start to fall into place, where you do kind of become your most successful. They are the most productive years and they are your most successful years. So I keep thinking, like, forget all that. Like, you're not too old. It's not too late. This is the message that I share now, because like I felt the same. I felt like I was like just plodding through and done. And then, my son had grown. He was 18. He's on his way now, going into a career. And like, what am I going to do now? And that's where this whole reinvention process started from there. But it certainly took a bit of a process. It wasn't like I knew, what I wanted to do or how to do it, or even that I could do it. It took a lot out of me to kind of have the confidence to, draw out of myself that I could go again and that I could finally kind of succeed at something and feel, like it was going to work. So yes, it wasn't straight away.
Angela, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And so if you and I both, what you've just spoken to me, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And my journey was the yoga studio, the kids selling the yoga studio. Like you I had given everything I had to that business and then got to the end and went, really, is this it? And felt on levels, people going, oh, great, yoga studio. On so many levels, I felt like a failure, even though I, sold it. But I absolutely understand what you're saying. And then it takes that bit of time, and you're going through this transition already, menopause and children leaving the home, which is a natural thing to happen. But for 20 odd years, we're living our life by terms and other people, and literally school terms. Now, isn't it lovely to not even know what a school term is? But you are so institutionalized and so hemmed in so many ways, and you're battling just to keep it all together. And now we've popped out the other side. But I understand the wariness of popping out the end and saying, is this it? And that feeling when you said about all these hopes and dreams, do I just abandon and abort now because I'm done? And even just recently, Brennan and I, he has a different view on it. Which is the view you're at, which I love. And so you've given me some inspiration here about going, yes, bring it home. He calls it his lion years. He goes now he's just turned 50. He goes, I'm going to bring it home now for us. We've done all the, had the mortgage for 20 years that we still have, and all that. He says, but now we get to bring it home, Em. Whereas I've had moments recently, I said, that's it, burn it all down. I'm done. But I also understand that's the masculine and the feminine. The feminine just wants to make things beautiful and keep peace. The masculine can hold the tension.
Yes.
And I have to lean into him saying, yes, he can hold the tension and keep driving the vision forward. Because I've had times where I like you said, these goals, it's all passed me by now, forget it, burn it all down, it's done.
Yeah.
But that's when you're exhausted and you've pushed yourself to the limit and you've got nothing left in the tank. And then newness has to come, which is the reinvention. So can you tell me, like you said, it was a process. It wasn't just, the business sold and you went, great, I'm free of that. You're exhausted, you're in menopause, you are depleted, you're second guessing everything. Do I abandon the dreams and goals? Then what was the process of the reinvention? Because I know that you have a blueprint and you have a whole method for women because you have done it many times over. Can you talk us through what coming out the other side for you was like?
I look at it like this, and I was thinking about it when I was putting this whole reinvention blueprint together. And this is what I find is the same common thread that runs through a lot of women our age who think like this. It's almost like we packed up, imagine a shoebox, and we packed up all our dreams and goals in that, and we put the lid on it, we put it way at the back of the cupboard, and we put all the clothes in front of it and crap in front of it. And then one day you're cleaning out and then you find this box and then you open up, oh my God, I forgot about that. Did I really want to do that one day? Did I really want to speak another language? Did I want to travel through Italy? Did I want to start a business? Did I want to, do these, whatever it might be? And you start to look at these great dreams and goals and things that you wanted to achieve that you just for whatever reason, life took over, kids, husbands, families, mortgages, working, just all of that there, you don't have the capacity to fit anything else in, right? So then when you have this time in this, which you can be in, you think, okay, I've got this idea, or I've got this, time to figure something out, what I want to do. It's my next chapter. And then you look at all these dreams and goals and you think, wow, I'm going to start to unpack all these things and maybe give this doesn't work for me anymore. I certainly don't want to do that, but then I might want to do something like this. Or it's really interesting when you go and you start to think about what you could do, what are the possibilities. And I also say it like this: it's not, when you're starting over or reinventing yourself, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. So you got to look at your life in the last 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. What have you achieved? What have you accomplished? What have you been doing? What knowledge do you have? What skill sets do you have? Think of all the wisdom, the experiences, the life lessons that you're bringing into your life now that you can share, that you can teach, that you can, I know that you, with your business as well, you're sharing so much of your life experiences and your wisdom and everything that you know and your knowledge. So it's so much that I think now you have these opportunities because you've got this opportunity online now more than ever before. The internet has changed everything. More people are building their own personal brands. More people are able to start an online business. And they have the resources at their fingertips because you want to find out how to do something, Google it, like look on YouTube, find someone on Instagram that's doing what you're doing, get a coach or a mentor. And you can literally start anything that you've ever wanted to do before. So I think we're in this perfect time in our lives where you can achieve great things if you choose to, and you can put your mind to it and just think where the self-doubt or the confidence in that. I had to start to think, you know what, you've got a lot of experience that you could share. You could do this, you could, and you kind of think about that, like look at your life and what you've done, and then start to think, is this something that I could share and teach and maybe even monetize and bring into a business to be able to help people and serve people. So that's where that all sort of started to evolve, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And that does take a bit of, I want to say the word courage again, to actually do the work and start to uncover and get to know yourself again. Because like you say, we put those hopes and dreams in a shoebox, pop in the back of the cupboard. It's easy just to bip along and do what you've always done. And I'm going to use, these are my words, be the martyr and still think that you don't have choice.
Yeah.
But you do. There's a point where you have to get really honest with it. And I'm speaking from experience here. Get honest with yourself. Say, I can stay the martyr and think that I have to keep serving everybody else. Or I can take my power back and, like you say, so what do I actually want to do? But there's a bit of a process. And I often, when I speak with women, they'll use the words, I feel stuck, I'm not sure. And that is real for a lot of us. But that's where we've got to be willing to uncover our own next evolution, our own next transition, our next reinvention. That takes. So what would you say holds women mostly back from the next reinvention? What would you say is probably the biggest block you hear?
Oh, look, I think it's the word stuck is very interesting because I keep saying, well, you're not a tree. You can move. You're not stuck. It's, again, a mindset and a limiting belief that we are stuck. And I did an event last year called How to Go from Stuck to Unstoppable. And we go through this process of, what is it that's actually holding you back? So you've got to work it out. Like, what is it that you feel that's holding you back? Is it a limiting belief that you're not good enough? Is it that you're not sure what to do? Is it that someone's told you before in your life that you can't achieve great things? What is it that's actually holding you back? And once you kind of define and figure out what that is, and then start to unpack that, that's the place to start.
Yeah.
And when that is like the center of it all. If you can really understand a bit more about yourself that's actually holding you back, then because I think what we do is we say this, won't it be great when, right? Oh, I can't wait till then. And I feel like I'm kind of in this position now. My son was when I went through him growing up, he had ADHD. So for Dylan, right through his entire school thing, right through, it was hard work. He was always doing silly stuff at school. I was always dealing with the parents, all the teachers, all the principals, or all this stuff. You know, when he was a child, we had to go through all these processes he had to have. If he got a gold star if he brushed his teeth, he got a gold star if he lined up straight, he got a gold star if he didn't run up the tree. Like, there was so many things. It was exhausting, right? So then you come out, I used to think, oh, won't it be great when, in a way, wishing away, like, oh God, it'd be great when he grows up a bit. It'd be great when he's like, you know, better and not doing these silly things and, you know, not running in out of bounds and just stuff like that, right? And then you kind of get to this point, well, I am in the stage of won't it be great when? I've got this time for myself now, right? I've done everything to get to this point, and I kind of have this time to work out, what do I want to do now? You know, and sometimes you don't have to do anything. Like, if you're wanting to, you know, be home and you can, you know, enjoy your time at home, so be it, right? But what I find is that women like us in our, where we are now in our era, this reinvention era, are wanting to do something. They're wanting to achieve things. They're wanting to be part of a community. They're wanting to be part of, you know, to do something. You know, so that's what I think is what I'm finding women are really still wanting to step into. It's not just necessarily slowing down. I think these years are not about slowing down. I think these years are about, you know, stepping up now, like really stepping up to your calling and figuring out what that is.
So true. The first step is to deal with this mindset. And that is such a great statement. Won't it be great when? And when you were saying that, I know that for a long time, when I'm skinny, I'm going to. And, you know, my work is a lot with body image.
Body image, yes.
So it is the mindset. So whatever, you know, mine was when I'm skinny, I'm going to. And I've shared with you around becoming a yoga teacher, and I had that belief about being a yoga teacher. Well, I'm not skinny enough. So if I had have held that belief and that mindset, when I'm skinny, I'm going to, I would never
have gotten into that.
No, I wouldn't be running retreats in India. I wouldn't be doing all these incredible things. So that is a great place to start. What was your statement? So for all of our listeners, what has your statement been? Won't it be great when? And Angela shared, when this child grows up and matures a bit more, and this won't be so hard. Mine is, you know, when I'm skinny. We've all got these mindset things that we're really just telling ourselves a story, because we do have that box of hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
We do have those aspirations, and we do know that we've got gifts and talents that we can share with the world. And whatever that is, it doesn't have to be, you know, in our sense, we work with women, we're coaches, you're a keynote speaker. It doesn't have to be, it can be anything, but it's such a great question to ask yourself. What did you say when it will be great? Brilliant question.
Yeah. That's what I think that is. I think a lot of us live our lives like that. Won't it be great when? And I can't do this until, you know. So I think that's where you do. I remember, like, I've been setting goals since I was like 10 years old, being a runner. So I started out as an athlete, 400 and 800 meter runner. So I was setting goals back then. Like, when my friends were, like, you know, sleep in the morning, I was setting my watch at 6 a.m. and getting up and running at 6 a.m. Right. So like 10 and 12 years old, I was doing that. And so my parents didn't wake me up. I got myself up and I'd go and train. So I was that, like, ambitious kid back then. And then all these things I've done along the way, I thought, you know, I never really felt like I was succeeding. It's so stupid. Like, I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't feel like I was winning. I didn't feel like, whatever my mindset was, everything was like, I just had to keep going. And when I look back and did a bit of work on myself to try and figure out where all that comes from, like trying to please people, trying to impress people, trying to, you know, get acknowledgement, and all of these things that it all comes back to your childhood, right? It's where it kind of links back to that. So, you know, as much as I had this ambition and drive, and still do, I was literally like a hamster on a wheel, and I didn't know how to get off. And so I lived my life in this fight or flight. I lived my life in this, got to go, got to shoot, got to write the goals, got to go, got to do this. And I don't live like that anymore. Like, I've been able to come to a place where I don't have to be the girl on the hamster wheel anymore. I live my life very, very differently. And I can still succeed. I can still achieve great things. I can still get a lot done in a day, but I don't have to come from a place of panic, fight or flight, all of this energy that just drains you and burns you out. So it's really interesting to look back and go, God, if you could, tell yourself, your younger self, I'll just say, calm down, Angela. Everything's going to be okay. Just take it a bit slower and just like be better, kinder to yourself and that type of thing. So that's been really an interesting process to look at my past. Yeah. And like start to join the dots and sort of figure things out. Like that is part of like who I am. And I have to be very careful of that now, to not be that girl, because I can sometimes just default into, I've got to, do 100 things at once. No, you've just got to sort of focus on this and say, stay aligned, stay in the flow, stay focused on that without going everywhere. So it's been really interesting to realize that about myself.
Yeah, it is a practice because we can slip into old mindset, and it's having that awareness, this behavior again. And I often talk about, and this is yoga practice for me, and you being a runner too, is actually getting into your body.
Yeah.
Because we know that feeling of that urgency and that push, it runs through your body. And like you said, it leaks energy, and you wonder why you get to the end of the day and you're a raving lunatic.
Yeah. True. Giving out so much, give.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's obviously been part of your reinvention to doing things differently. So since selling the restaurants and now moving into this next beautiful chapter, what does your day look like now?
Well, I just did a recent post sharing my morning routine, because I don't know about you, but I'm always interested in figuring out people's morning routines, how they do things, right? And when anyone shares their story about how they, the vitamins they're taking, what they're eating in a day, how they do this, how they do that, right? And so I shared mine the other day, and it's a morning. I just get up in the morning around 6 o'clock. I set the alarm, I get up, and I don't turn it off. I just get straight up, and then I have a glass of hot water with lemon, and that's been really good for my digestion, rather than starting with a coffee, because I used to start with the coffee first off. So I've now have lemon and water, and I go into the sauna. We have a sauna here. It's beautiful. I go into the sauna and I listen to a podcast. So while I'm in there, I do my exercising, I do my weights, and then I do a meditation, or I'll do listening to something to do with business or mindset or motivation. And then after about 30 minutes, I'll go into the pool, which is like my version of a cold plunge. So I'll go in there. I don't know how I'm doing it, because I'm not been a fan of cold water at all. And then I do that, which is about 5 minutes in there. It used to be 30 seconds. Now I'm up to 5 minutes. And it's just when I get out, I'm so invigorated. So in that 1 hour before I talk to anyone or cook my son breakfast or my husband or whatever, I have had that time for myself. I'm in a completely different place. Haven't looked at my emails. I haven't done anything except just stuff for myself that serves me. And it's changed everything. It really has. I mentioned before to a few people, I had a lot of inflammation in my body and my joints. Everything used to hurt, and I had a lot of cortisol. I had cortisol face. It was really puffy, and all the whole thing you go through the menopause. And just by slowing down and doing that, I've noticed a big shift in myself and change. And I think also just taking the stress out of my body, and the stress that I was under those restaurants and that business, and the way that I was managing every day, I've learned to be able to manage my stress levels a lot better. And yeah, it feels more of a flow. It feels more aligned. Yeah. And then I do all my podcasting, which I love, interviews with amazing women like yourself. I have one-on-one coaching, and I, build my business and my brand and my personal brand, and do speaking when I get booked and things like that. So that's my day, and I love it. It's just completely different to how I used to live my life. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm very grateful that I can, be in this position to be able to have that life. But you have to create those habits that really work for you.
Yeah, you do. That is what you described there, the beautiful self-respect and self-reliance.
Yeah.
Getting up in the morning, doing your thing. And my methodology, it's around mindset, meditation, and movement. Yep. And in that is your setting up of the morning, and how wonderful, because it is the gift that keeps on giving. If you can give yourself just a little bit of time in the morning, because at the end of the day, those emails are still there. The social media, the franticness is still there. It's okay. And I often think of my phone too and think someone, last night I went to yoga and I love my yoga practice and I deliberately leave the phone out in the waiting room. I watch some people bring it into the room and I think people can go 1 hour without contacting you.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
You can actually step into a yoga room and it's at 6 o'clock at night, if you can't go 1 hour without someone having to contact you, that's a you problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you're going into yoga to do this mindfulness, but subconsciously you're thinking, my phone is there. Like, it's just, you're going to think about it.
Yes.
It's there. If you're not going to think about it, it shouldn't be in the room, but you are thinking about it because it's in the room.
Yeah. So put it out in the waiting room or leave it in the car, whatever you need to do. But it's the same thing in the morning. It's okay to get up in the morning and go and have your lemon water and take your walk or do whatever, or meditate or journal or have your cup of tea in the sun without touching that phone. And our nervous system needs it. And I agree with, I do lots around this body image stuff, and we are that cortisol levels. We are stressing ourselves out because a lot of women are very conscious around their diet. They're very, very conscious about their movement, but the missing piece is the mindset. And I've spoken to you about this too, is the mindset, always telling yourself you're just not good enough and you're fat and you're, all of that language. But that's the mindset stuff that if we can take that time in the morning and put ourselves first, that changes a lot. And it doesn't have to be vigorous, crazy stuff. Although the cold water business is quite vigorous, Angela.
Yes, I know.
How are you going to go
crazy.
winter?
I don't know. I haven't done a winter yet. And that's what I'm thinking, because it's starting to get colder and colder and colder. I'm just hoping that I've like programmed my mind and my body to like accept it. Like I'm not in an ice bath, like for instance, but it's probably going to be pretty cold, but I'm hoping that I can, still be able to do it. So we'll see. But I tell you one thing, because I listen to a lot of health and wellness like stuff, mental health and stuff. But I listened to this gentleman, and he had a lot of ice baths. I was listening to a podcast, and he said, if you're not used to cold water, start by doing this. Start by having a shower in the morning, but then before you get out, just put cold water, turn all the hot off, put cold water onto your chest, like just like that, on your chest and on your face. Let the cold water just run on your chest. And he said, in the beginning, you'll only be able to do it for like 10 seconds or 30 seconds. And he said, the next day, come back and then work your way up to where you could have it just on your chest and your face for a minute, and then maybe 2 minutes, right? And then maybe start to do it a little bit more on your back and like all your body, like in the cold for that. And then, so I started there. So that's how I started, just on my chest. And just by doing it on my chest and a little bit on my face, that freezing cold water after the shower, I would get out of the shower and I go, I feel invigorated. Just by having that on my chest there made a big difference in my mind and everything. Like, I just was alert. I was like feeling better. I could notice a bit more inflammation was going down in my face. And I thought, there's something about this. It's really helping. So, and then I started the process, and then I started doing the pool in the morning, like going straight in. I don't think about it. It's not like, put one toe in and then go, that's close. Go boom, 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 in straight up to my neck, done. Right? So that's it. You have to do it like that. But I'm not one that goes in the water at the beach or stuff like that. I don't like cold water. So it's quite amazing that I'm even doing it. But it's a good way to start with that on your chest for your listeners too, if they're wanting to do something like that.
That's a great tip. Okay, I'm going to have to see. I'll get into the ocean. I don't mind. I'll jump into the ocean any day of the week. Yeah, but I'm not like the cold shower and even getting in the pool when it's a bit cool. But I'll get in the. I think because the ocean's so, because it's movement and there's. I don't know. I feel brave with the ocean. But good tip. Good tip. So Angela, for our ladies who are potentially in a place where reinvention is imminent and it's floating around, but they're still feeling a little bit depleted and they're dancing, what advice do you have for them around reinvention? And I know you have a blueprint. Are you able to share a little something for our ladies to help them in this reinvention process?
Sure. Well, I created this reinvention blueprint and I call it the 10 commandments. And they're 10 things that I focused on doing when I was in this process of reinvention, because you can't just think that it's one thing, because it's not. It's a combination of things. And part of it is your mental health. Part of it is your health and wellness. And that was when I started to take up my morning routine and be quite serious about it. And another part of it is about getting a business, like to get a mentor or coach around you, whether it's business or whether it's someone that just can help you mentally, but being around somebody that is a mentor and a coach. I always understood the power of having a mentor or coach came way back when I was an athlete, right? So you can't, like, if you want to be successful in something, you have to have somebody that's a mentor and a coach to help you get there. So having someone like that, or somebody that can help you in some way, get around these communities of these women. Like, there's so many incredible online communities that you can be a part of. Like, be around that type of thing that you can feed off and understand that you're not alone, right? And that's sometimes, like, because I think also I've spoken about it many times, is that when I was going through menopause, it wasn't like I'm a girl that saw the glass half full. I've been very positive all my life. If anything ever happened, I was able to sort of pull myself out of it very quickly. I always thought that, I think I grew up with pretty much rose-colored glasses, and probably to my own detriment. With, my husband says, like, you didn't just wear rose-colored glasses. Yours were like those big clown ones. Like, they were just like so big out of, like, I used to think everything was just great. And I used to see the best in everybody and give everybody a benefit of the doubt. And sometimes that will come and bite you in the ass. And it did many times in my life. But it's really about, when I didn't feel happy and I didn't feel sad, and I was kind of in this real numb, weird feeling. And I think it was probably just coming out of the businesses, being exhausted, plus menopause. And I was just like, in a weird place. And I thought, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. It was literally like an identity shift, like, who am I now? Right. I haven't got to run around after the schools anymore. And I don't have to, like, my husband's still at work, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And when I started to do this business and I started to step into the world of speaking and started to build my own personal brand online. So I started sharing things on Instagram, going live, doing all the scary stuff that we speak about, right? And like posting something and then deleting it, not thinking, oh, that's just like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And just that we all go through it, right? And I remember doing all of that sort of stuff to try and build this brand, this business, and try to get my confidence up and believe that I'm capable of doing it. And through that process, it just makes you so much more stronger. It just gives you more confidence by doing it, just by taking that step forward and doing that. But then you attract the people that are looking for you. They start to admire what you're doing. But on the other hand, you'll have the ones, and these are usually the two questions that you'll be asked. And usually it's family members or close friends and the ones, what is she doing now? And who does she think she is? They're usually the two stupid questions that people are thinking. They may not say it to you, but they'll say it to someone else. And they're the things they say. There's three things that will hold people back in life, especially putting yourself out there. It's the opinions of others, the fear of failure, and the fear of rejection. So if you can kind of understand, they're the three things that everybody's dealing with, right? The opinions of others, and fear of rejection, and the fear of failure. They're the three things that will stop people moving forward. And then when you can kind of work with that and understand that that's there and break through that, I mean, we all still have it. It doesn't like stop, but it gets a little bit easier the more that you trust yourself and the more that you put yourself out there. So if you are in this process of reinvention, you are wanting to sort of build a business and brand online, you will have those things happen, but know that that's okay. You can get through that, and we all have it, and we're all going through it at the same time.
Yeah, gosh, aren't we? Yeah. But we know that we've got to know that we're connecting with other women. I like your point about a coach, and you and I have both been in the same community, and that's how we met a few years ago. And this is the point, is being with other people who are doing it.
Yes.
That inspire you, encourage you, but also hold that beautiful space for you when it's tough.
Yes.
And people you can be honest with. But I do believe, and we hear it all the time, who we surround ourselves with determines our success. But it's true.
It's so true.
It is true. Getting with other people who are doing a similar thing to you or would like to, because that's what I love about women. I feel that we are more around collaboration over competition. And that's certainly the circle you and I run in, is really around collaboration, and because we're stronger together.
We are, yes. And there's enough to go around for everyone. And that's where that's that mindset. If like people think, oh, I can't share anything with her because she's in competition with me or whatever. I keep saying this. usually when you decide to come up with an idea, like when you're going through this reinvention process, you need to understand you're not creating the wheel here. You probably find somebody else is already doing what you've done. A million of them are doing the same thing. So it's how you, but they're not you. You have your own story, right? So everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own like skill sets and experiences and life's journey they're bringing to the table. And that's your unique gift. Your story, right? So even like Emma, your story, your whole background to where you are, to my story, everybody has their own story. And it doesn't matter if you're speaking on resilience or you're speaking on body or like body image or somebody, well, everybody's doing something, right? And it's like, you're not creating the wheel. Everyone's probably doing something you're doing. And you're not the only one doing it. But if you can avoid this comparison trap, comparison is the thief of all joy. We've heard that, and it really is. It's not about comparing yourself to somebody else. It's about staying on your journey and focusing on you, and understand that everybody's like, your chapter 1 is not the same as somebody's chapter 52. And that's the thing. Well, she's probably had 6-7 years while you were doing something else, doing this, right? And she's zigzagged and she's figured things out and she's changed and everything and branding everything to get to that point. So the more that you understand that by being around these sort of businesses and these communities, you hear their stories and you think, oh God, she didn't do it overnight. Nothing happens overnight. It was like a long kind of figuring it out process. So the reinvention is just, you start from where you are, but you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience, and you start to step forward into what could possibly be, but it doesn't happen straight away. It happens over a process of evolving and changing and figuring things out and testing. Does this work for me? Does this not? Do I really want to do this? And then it just grows from there. But it's really about being patient with yourself through that process as well.
Yeah, great point not to allow when this reinvention, often the reinvention is a silent knock. I feel like it, it's there. Yeah. You're getting like a little knock and a little nudge. But like you said, don't let the fear of someone else is doing it, because yes, someone's had that idea. Don't let that stop you. No one's you. There's more than enough to go around. I love that point. Yeah. I also love the point that don't get caught in the fear, the rejection, or the failure, because that is going to happen. It is actually going to happen. So just make friends with it. Make friends with it.
Yeah. I learned that a long time ago. I think it was Les Brown who said that. And I have been like a big fan of his for a long, long time. I've been a student of personal development for over 30 years. I think my first one was when I was 18. I went to an Anthony Robbins event and I went, oh my gosh, I found my people. So I've loved personal development since then. So for me, it's like the reason why I've been so positive is because I constantly put in. And I've had negative friends. I've had negative family. I've had negative people around me. But I try not to, I keep a lot of that at arm's length, right? Because I may not agree with what they're saying. It doesn't mean that I have to think like that either. So I kind of always try to see the positive in most things. And I try to be around that content, that information going in, because I understand the power of that. But those 3 things that Les Brown said a long time ago have always stuck with me, and it is very much about the people's opinions. And it's worse than ever, like Instagram and stuff. It's just, I feel sorry for the kids growing up with all of that these days. It's the comparison stuff. It's the the other people's opinions and people saying things. They are the things that will hold you back. And it is the fear of rejection. I mean, like I said, when I was starting the reinvention process, I had a fear of failing. I really did. I had a fear of failing. And even though I hadn't failed in my sort of like for what I thought I was going to do and achieve, I felt like I had failed. Mm-hmm. So they're the things that will hold you back, those 3 things. And you got to work with those and understand that everybody has those and feels that, but it's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. But the stronger you'll be stronger if you get a mentor or coach around you. You'll be stronger in a community, and you'll be stronger if you'll be listening to podcasts regularly with positive content. They're the things that have helped me. I mean, it's very simple. It's nothing like, this isn't like rocket science. I'm not like telling people anything different than they've already heard, but it's about implementing those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think implementing is the key, because why do we consume so much content and do nothing with it? That's the other part of the pie too, is getting the concept. We could hear about morning practices to the cows come home, but if we never do it.
Yes.
Like, I think that's the thing.
You've got to be implementing. And I think another really good point through all of this process is don't be jealous and don't be envious. I always go like, don't be jealous of somebody's success. Don't be envious of somebody's success. Go, if she can do it, I can do it. I get inspired when I see these women. And then also don't believe everything you see or hear either. You see a lot of people online, 7 figures, made 7 figures. Well, being in small business, I can tell you one thing. You can turn over 7 figures in a business in restaurants, right? Well, what's the profit? At the end of the day, it's not the turnover, it's the profit. So don't buy into that crap, right? So understand that somebody might be, telling you they're earning this. Well, if you went and had a look at their books and spoke to their accountant, some are doing extremely well, but not everybody. So just know that it's tricky language that I think people use sometimes about the success that they're having. But yeah, you just got to get wise around that and don't think you're failing because somebody's telling you they're doing 7 figures or whatever. Just know, okay, what is the profit? Because there is no business if there is no bottom line, there's no profit. My husband taught me that a long time ago. He said, Angela, you go into business to make a profit. And I go, oh, really? Oh, thanks. Let me write that down. That's profound. I didn't know that. Geez, thanks. Of course I understand that. But to make a profit in business, in small business especially, it's bloody hard, right? It's hard. Yeah, but this type of business, online and building businesses and speaking and helping women, you can have a very good lucrative business, but you have to be really, you have to build it up and be clever about it. But it's a really great opportunity for people.
Yes. So all those women who are listening who are potentially teetering on their reinvention, be brave, be bold.
Yeah.
Go after it. You have got something to share, particularly if it's tapping you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Angela and I both shared, we've both felt like we're failures and potentially will, to the day we die, have another episode where we feel that way because we're human and it's okay to feel that. And their feelings and you move through them and the sun will shine again tomorrow. But, it's the life that we live where we are going to sometimes have the wind taken out of our sails, but that's just part of it, isn't it? It's just part of it.
Yeah. It's all transitioning. It's all evolving. And the more you think about reinvention, I say this, that it's not like when you're wanting to reinvent yourself, it's not something that it's a luxury to reinvent yourself. I really believe it's a necessity if you want to live your fullest potential and do what you came to this earth to do, right? And not just plod through to the end. You want to go as big as you can go, have the best life you can have, make the most impact that you can have, and be of service. It's a necessity. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity to reinvent yourself over and over and over and over again, because we grow and we change as humans. And the more that you can have the courage to say, I'm going to reinvent, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to step forward, I'm going to keep moving into this person and evolve to the person, you'll live out your fullest potential. So that's what I really believe that we're all here to do.
Yeah, I agree. It is a necessity and it's a wonderful, and you've just got to ride the wave, but it is very joyful. And at the end of the day, I'm assuming most of us want to leave a legacy to our children. And even Absolutely. I think about podcasting and going, our kids one day will listen to this when we're gone and go, oh my gosh, that was mum at my age, because it's a funny thing, but doing all of those beautiful things in your reinvention is worth it without a doubt.
And I think your kids look at you and deep down they're probably go, oh God, but they're proud of us. I think that when they see what we do and, get on there and do podcasts and do what we're doing and put ourselves out there, secretly they're very proud of us because and we're teaching them that, it takes courage, but you do it anyway, it's just do it. Why not?
Brilliant. So Angela, tell me, where can our listeners find you and what have you got coming up?
Oh, okay. So I am Angela Vassallo. So I am Angela Vassallo is my Instagram handle, and you can follow me there. But I have my new blueprint coming out, which is the 10 commandments of the reinvention blueprint. And it's great. Like, it's a whole process, and I know it's going to help so many people. And from that, if people are wanting, I book them in, and if they want to catch up with me, I can do one-on-one coaching with them as well. And I take them through a whole program for a month to help them work out exactly what their reinvention is going to be, what their next steps are, and how we can help them get there.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Angela. So for all of our listeners, if you are feeling this pull and you know that you are in this next evolution of you and this next reinvention, definitely reach out to Angela. And I know that you're also a tremendous keynote speaker. So anyone who's looking for a fabulous speaker in women's empowerment and transformation, you are also available for that, which is wonderful. But Angela, thank you for a fabulous conversation. As always, it's juicy and I always learn something. So thank you, friend. Appreciate you being here.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you for all the work that you've been doing in this space as well for women and empowerment. Thank you, Emma.
What if you could build a stronger, more loving relationship with your body and yourself? It starts with love, patience and support, and that's exactly what you'll find in the Body Love Revolution online summit, building a better relationship with your body. I've brought together 12 incredible experts in mindset, movement, menopause and self-care to help you feel strong, vibrant and at peace in your changing body. Yes, this is a free online event. Your invitation link is in the show notes of this podcast. Pop your details in and I cannot wait to have you join us. There is inspiration, aha moments and lots of pearls of wisdom. Join us.